Hey friends, welcome to the long-awaited Phoenix tutorial. And today we are actually folding a new version of this Phoenix, which was featured in my Origami battle against Tadashi Mori. Now, this Phoenix is pretty cool and a lot of people requested a tutorial on it, but I wanted to improve the design based on some feedback I received during that battle, which one is to make the tails longer, and two, in terms of my own critiques, is to improve some of the design efficiency and just make sure we're, using up the paper like I think is fits. Now, there's also some problems with just how the wings are laid out. Some of those might still exist, but I think overall the redesign will be a lot better and it'll be nicer to fold and a little bit easier for me to teach. So I'm excited to bring you this tutorial. It's pretty neat. As you can see, we have here a really large sheet of double tissue. This is actually a better paper choice than what I used for the original Phoenix because it's a lot thinner. It's also, I think, around 80 centimeters, so it's a bit bigger. You don't have to use a paper this large, but I recommend you to at least use something around like 60 centimeters. 50 is going to be really small, but 60 would be ideal. You can see I've made my own double tissue. I actually didn't make this very well. So, as long as you're good at folding, I think you'll be okay. You don't have to have the perfect paper, just one that's good enough. And there's this really interesting like orange yellow I'm using. That's the only orange I could find, but I think you should probably make your Phoenix orange as well. But yeah, make sure you grab your paper and we're gonna get started. And so as we begin this tutorial, obviously this paper is not fitting on the screen, but it will as we start working on it. And I want to lay out some expectations and some disclaimers. So this tutorial is not for beginners. And if you're just an intermediate folder, I think you should try folding some other origami models first, or maybe following some of my easier box pleat tutorials and my crease pattern class before you attempt this model. I'm saying that because the people who are going to be watching and folding this tutorial, I'm going to be teaching it to that level. So if you're not understanding some of the steps, please keep that in mind and practice some of the easier tutorials to then practice for this tutorial. Because yeah, it's not a beginner or easy tutorial. So with that out of the way, we can get started. And the first step that we're going to be doing is folding a 48 by 48 grid. And again, if this is something that you don't know how to do, then this tutorial probably isn't for you. You should already know how to do a 48 by 48 grid by heart. That should be the easy step to do. But if you don't know how to do it, I have a tutorial for folding grids. So you can go follow that and get your 48 grid ready. And it'll be some practice anyways. But yeah, go ahead and do that 48 by 48 grid, and then I will kind of guide through pre-creasing. All right, so we are back and we have our 48 by 48 grid. Again, my paper is really big, so it doesn't quite fit on screen, but that's totally fine. The first thing we're actually gonna do is observe the crease pattern. So here I have it popped up in OriEdit, and you can see on one side, we have the full crease pattern that's foldable, flat folding. And then on the right side, we have just what we need, the pre-crease. And, actually we don't even need some of these, but I think this pretty much sums up what I will show in pre-creasing. Everything else will just depend on the grid. And this top section, we're gonna divide it later with some sync folds. So yeah, so if you want to just pre-crease on your own, just take a look at this. I'm gonna leave it up here so you can screenshot. And this should be pretty easy to understand what to fold. I have them all as red because I like to do them all as mountain folds. And once again, I do them as mountain folds with the outer edge of the grids as mountain folds. But if you don't do it mountain fold or you mess up on accident and it's all valid, that's totally fine. It still works. It's a symmetrical crease pattern. So just get that pre-creased. But we're going to start with this pre-creasing. I'll probably start with maybe we'll do the bottom. We'll get the whole bottom half done first because that's all together, and then the top part is a little bit more tedious. But all in all, it's not bad at all. Yeah, let's jump into it. And I'll also let you screenshot the other crease pattern over here. And I will probably have a link for this one somewhere on my website or linked down below. But in case you just want a quick screenshot, there you go. All right, so the first thing we're going to pre-crease is starting down at the bottom. Now, I have it zoomed in, but on your screenshot, it's right in the middle of the bottom. So what you're going to do is just find the middle of your paper, which I have to do off camera a little bit because the paper is so big. So I kind of just fold my paper in half to find where it is. And then that's where we're going to start our pre-creasing. All right, so I've found my middle right here. And I'm going to start going this way. Since it's symmetrical, we'll be doing both sides. And we're going up 9 grid units. So this is 1 grid unit from the edge. We're going to go across diagonally 9. So here's the second one, third, and I like to do the pinch method. If you like to fold flat on a table, you can do that. But as you can see with such large paper, you might not have a table large enough. So I find it very useful to just fold in the air. And I've gotten quite good at being precise with that. All right, so far we're 2, 4, 6 units in. We're gonna do 8 units like that. And then our 9th one up here. And it's always good to double check. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. There we have it. And now I'm going to flip it over to the other side. And sorry for how janky this part of the tutorial is. That's just going to be how it is while its paper is really big and while I'm pre-creasing. But we can see our pre-creases are here that we started. And now we just do 9 in the other direction. So I'm going to start it like this, just at the first one. And maybe I'll tilt it this way without knocking things over so that I can get the rest. So we already have 2. 3. It's 4. I normally try to do 2s. I can very easily keep track of 2s. So what? That's 2, 4, 6, 8, and then 9. And we can double check that's 9 by just looking at the other side. Just like this. All right, so my camera suddenly disconnected, so you might see I have some more pre-creases that I didn't show yet, but that's okay. We just finished the bottom, going up 9 on both sides, and we're just gonna pretend that I don't have these here, but you can see on the crease pattern, we're actually gonna go up another 9, so that makes a diamond, and then in fact we're going 9 more after that. So actually it makes like an X that kind of looks like if I box this section in like this, right? You can see that it forms an X. So we can actually just do 18 across to make this X, and it'll line up with what we currently have, and that should be pretty easy to do. So you can actually see that I already have it done on my own, but what I want you to do, I'm gonna quickly pretend that I don't have it, is get my paper out of the way to just start creasing underneath, say from this side, and we're gonna go up, right, another 9, and that should take us to the center, and then you can just keep going another 9. And basically once you go another 9, you'll see that this point right here will line up with what we had originally down here. And then you do the same thing on the other side. So another 9. Another 9 going up, and then another 9. And it looks just like our crease pattern right over here. And now if that's hard for you to understand, this tutorial might be too difficult for you, because this is probably the easiest thing that we're going to be doing in this tutorial. So maybe this is the little benchmark. But you know, people requested me to show pre-creasing anyways. Normally I don't. So I'm showing it this way. And also because the top portion, there's things that you don't have to pre-crease that's on the full crease pattern. So I thought it might be a little bit less confusing to show, you know, this. And then if I show this version, why not just show in a tutorial? Okay, but I digress. We shall continue. Hopefully this has been pretty easy for you so far. So we've completed both sides, the 9x9 and then the X, the 18x18. And so now let's do the wings. And so where I'm pointing my finger at is right over here. And again, I'm going to mark this off really quick. Again, don't worry about these being Mountain Valley. I'm just using this to show what we're doing. But I'm doing this section where you can see from this point, we're going to go down 7 units and then up 3 units. And then we have a 1x1 and then down 3 units again. And so on our crease pattern right here, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, that's the starting point. And the 7 goes down towards the tail, which is down that way. So we're going to start here. I'm going to pinch myself into position. We're going to start doing 7 down, so 2, 3, and then this is 5, and then to help myself, I'm going to use my finger underneath the paper to get to 7, 2, 4, 6, 7, then we go up 3, this. It's up 3. And then we have a 1x1 and then back down 3. So the 1 goes down. Now, if you're interested in more crease pattern and design kind of terms, these are what we would call ridges. So we're pre-creasing the ridges, because they basically form the structure of the flaps used in this Phoenix. And so once we have these pre-creased, and we can just rely on the grid as our mountain valleys, and it'll follow the ridges and create the structures of the wings. So like this is how long the wing is, and then this is the feather sections. All right, so now that we've shown that, we're going to do the same thing on the other side, which you see I've already done because my camera glitched out. But go ahead and do this on the other side. It's the same thing. 7 down, up 3, a little 1x1, and then back down 3. Again, check your crease pattern or that screenshot you took earlier of this guy. It's all symmetrical so far. And once you have that, we basically have the bottom half pre-creased. So go ahead and do that and we'll come right back. All right, so we are back, and where I'm pointing my finger is actually right here. Right over here in our 1x1. And I'm doing this because when we start the top half, I like to find just the easiest reference to kind of line up with myself. And this one makes a nice reference to this point. And once I have this done, then I can just go and pre-crease the rest of the top. And I don't have to, you know, count each grid too much. This one's easy. At the bottom of our 1x1, we go up 5 grid units. And then we can just fold from there to the edge or go, you know, upwards 4 units. So let me show that on the paper. So here's our one by one. So we're going to go up 5 grid units. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then from here, we're going to fold 4 units to the edge. 1, 2, 3, 4. And since this is, the fold that we're using a lot, I'm just going to double check it. 2, 4, 5. Yep, we're good. And now I can go across this way, which I'm going to count on our crease pattern quickly. How far do we have to go? 2, 4, 6, 7. So we're going the other way 7 from here. So 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. 2, that's going to go double count it. 2, 4, 6, 7. Okay. So now we have this section and we can keep going. So let's see here. We're going to go up this way. So this is 4, 1, 2, 1, 1. If it's easy to remember, I kind of just put it in my head so I don't have to keep counting on the crease pattern. So from when we went up 7, we're going to go back this way. We're going to go 4. So 2, 4. 2, 4. And it's going to go 1 here. And then back the other direction 2. And then we have a 1 by 1. So 1. And then a 1. Like that. And now the reason why I like to do these is because we don't really have to count this. We can just go from this corner 45 degrees down towards the edge. So from here, from that one top of the 1 by 1, I can just go to the edge. And you'll notice that at the edge, we have just a bunch of 1 by 1s, and this makes the claws for the foot. So that's pretty easy to do. We can start anywhere. I like to fold in the same direction first, so I don't have to turn the paper as much. So I'm going to start with the bottom one, just skip that one for now. Do the next one, skip it, next one. And then now I can come back the other way. So now I'll turn my paper. So I can fold this way. 1, 2. Come on. There we go. 2. Kind of want these sharp. These are claws. Okay. And last one here. Pinch it in place. Just like that. So now we have the claws. Just like this. And once again, I'm going to tell you, just go ahead and do this unit. So let me outline it for you. So we just did all of this. Go ahead and do the same thing on the other side so that we have this and this done, and we'll come back. All right, so we're back and you should have these units done on both sides. Now what we're going to do is the center diamond. So you see, again, I'm going to highlight these starting from here, going across. All of these we're going to be pre-creasing. Now they're 2 by 2 units, but I'm going to show you how to pre-crease them a little bit more efficiently. But we're going to start from this side. As you can see, the point is 1 unit across from this one. So I want you to find that on your crease pattern. And so I'm going to point it out on mine, right? You go up 7, see here, and then across 1 grid unit is right there. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start just the 2-unit crease right there. And then I'm going to do the 2-unit crease on the bottom here, just so that I don't lose my place. It's easier for me to find later. And by doing this, the skill we're practicing is actually like crease awareness is what I kind of refer it to, or paper awareness. So you know kind of exactly like a map of where you're working with. That way, if you look away, you don't lose track of where you need to crease. Very important skill, especially when solving crease patterns like this. So right now we have the 2x2, and then you can see how we can complete the diamond like that. But just like with the tail, where we actually folded 18 instead of just a 9, we can do the same thing here. So it's a little bit faster to just crease through, starting from that point. 4 units, instead of having to just do 2 and then flip-flop back and forth. And then even so, it's just like before, where we can imagine the crease coming here, or coming here and here, and just do the next one very similarly. Oh, and I actually lost my crease. So here and here. Now, again, it might happen where your paper awareness kind of gets wonky from some existing creases like this one, just like I almost had and almost made a mistake. So if it confuses you to do this, you can just, go sequentially so you don't mess up. But if you do mess up, it's not too bad as long as you have the right creases. The incorrect creases can exist and you can just ignore them. But over time, it gets a little bit confusing. So try not to have too many. But yeah, otherwise you can just keep going all the way across until you hit the other side over here. And so I'm just going to try to go, and we'll try to do this fast, but you can take your time. I just want to show you kind of how I would do it if I was folding by myself. And so it's just like this. Like that. And then I track down 2. And I use my fingers a lot to kind of even just point to myself where to make these creases. That way I don't lose track. So oftentimes my fingers are more correct than my eyes. And my eyes can play tricks on me when there's all these grid creases lying about. But we've gotten up to here. We can see that actually now I can just do this last one over here, which happens to be 1 unit across from the start of our other one. And that means I can rotate the paper and do all of the creases back the other direction. And now, since I've gotten all the others, it's really easy to keep track of where everything is, because you basically have reference points for everything. And it's not too many. I in total, this is what, like 10 creases or something like that. But yeah, and then that's how we would get all the diamonds. Now, you could also do a method where you fold them all at the same time, but I think doing that is actually a lot more confusing and harder to keep paper awareness of what's actually going on. So I just like to pinch it this way. Slightly more work, but it's a lot less confusing. And so now we have all those 2-unit diamonds running through our model. Now, the next thing to do is actually, or the next thing you think you might do is these tiny diamonds. So let me remove these guys. So these right here. Now, I'm actually going to do these last because I think it's easier to keep track of where they start if we do the top section first. And also, technically, you don't need to pre-crease these. It just makes it a little bit easier later on to find where you're supposed to do this. But if you want to do it now, because you can just like count up or something, you can go ahead. But we're going to move on and just do the top row. All right, so before we start with the top, I'm going to show you what we're going to be pre-creasing first. because there's a lot of zigzags going through, and this might confuse you. These zigzags are not ridges. The ridges are starting from the corner, and they just kind of go along as 4-unit flaps until the center, which is a little different for the head. And then it keeps going to the other side. So those are the ridges. What these are here, these are going to be pre-creasing for a gigantic reverse fold. Yeah, so if you take a look here, it's actually right here, it's a reverse fold through all these layers, and then it's a sync fold to level shift it down. And if that doesn't mean anything to you, don't worry. Just know that it helps to pre-crease this now, so that it's not confusing later. But first, we're going to start from the corner, and I want you to ignore all these zigzags and just look at the corner creases that go to the edge, like big V's. So it's like 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 5 sets of 4-unit zigzags like that. So we're going to start from this corner. We're going to fold 4 units down. So 2, 4, and then go back up 4 units, and then down like that. And so that's 3, so we need 2 more. So we go up 4, like that, and then down 4. And I'm going to scoot the crease pattern over so you can see this last down 4 is right here. Two, 4. All right. So now that we've done that, now we're kind of, this is the center of the head, and I find it easier. We're just going to do all of this together to make it not confusing. And then I'll have you just do the other side, which is just 5 more 4x4x4s. So let's start from here. It's just a 1x1, but you notice we have another diamond on top. So what I'm actually going to do is fold 2 units, and I think you're going to be pretty used to this by now. So 2, and then to make the 1x1, I'm going to go the other way here. And this just pre-creases kind of both things at the same time. And then I'm going to go up 1 like this, like that, and then same thing over here. And then we're going to continue. So we have our 1x1 with a little diamond up here. And then now we're going to have a 2x2. But again, we have the diamond here, so we can actually go 3. So 3, like that. And then 3 down the other way, but letting it cross here. Right, so you see that how it crossed, and then we can complete this 1x1 diamond up here. And this is the very center of the paper. And if you want, you can check at the bottom of your paper if it lines up with the tail, which hopefully it does. And then now we have one more of these 1x1s with a 1x1 diamond. And so I'm going to pre-crease like this. 2, 2, making an X, and then completing the diamond here, like that. All right, and then all you got to do left is go 4x4x4x4x4 all the way to the corner, which is what we just did earlier, and it's just this section. And I'm just going to tell you to do that. I'm not going to show it on the tutorial to save some time, but go ahead and complete that and we'll come right back. All right, so we're all done with the ridges that we pre-creased all across the top. Now we can do these reverse folds. So we're going to start from here, which is 3 units below the corner. So 1, 2, 3. And it's a mountain fold that goes down from that point, just like that. Make sure you get it the right direction. Don't pre-crease it the wrong direction, which would be pointing up like that. Have it pointing down. And we just zigzag a bunch of 1 by 1 by 1s. So 1, 1, 1, but this one will intersect here. And now you might be thinking, oh, boys, can I also just do like that sort of thing? You definitely can. I'm going to show you just the real structure really quick of this reverse fold so you can kind of understand what is actually going on the crease pattern. And this will help later during the collapse. So this right here would be if we were to reverse fold just this flap. So these 4 units form one flap, and this would be a reverse fold between them. So basically I can even start the collapse a little bit like this, and you can see how as it comes to a point, it would have inverted and reverse folded down like that. Now, it just so happens that when we do the next flap, because it's right next to the other one, it allows the creases to kind of touch each other during the reverse fold. But these are not going to collapse the same way that the others do. Like in the center, these center diamonds will not collapse like that. They'll collapse a little bit differently because they're not reverse folds, and this one is. So the reason I mentioned that is just to get it into your head a little bit earlier. The collapse order is also different, so I just don't want you to get confused as you're doing it, because I feel like some people might, if they're not as familiar with doing things like this. But once we have these pre-creased, right, you just look at the crease pattern. It's the same thing, like all the way down. Though you might notice that what's going on here, and I'll explain this in a little bit. We actually probably don't even need this diamond right here. We'll just keep it simple like this for now. And the reason is, if you actually look at the crease pattern up here, oh yeah, actually, maybe that was just wrong in general, but we'll pre-crease it like this because that's how it transitions out from the creases. So actually, yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. Maybe I copied it incorrectly, but oh yeah, I think it's just that one that's wrong. So let's keep doing that. And you're going to do those all across the top row here. And I think I can just show basically this side, and then you will understand what to do. So it's very simple. Just 1 by 1 by 1s. Just try to keep track of where you are so you don't lose your place, because as you get more and more creases, it's going to be a little bit harder to keep track. But again, you can just refer to the crease pattern to make sure you're in line with everything. That's here. Come back on ourselves. And then we just keep going to the next one. All the way down, and then on the other corner as well. So yeah, go ahead and do that. We're going to come back once this is all done. And then all we have left to do would be these smaller diamonds near the top, which are also pretty easy, but I'll just briefly cover what to do. Right, go get that done. All right, so on the top edge, we've done all the pre-creasing for the for the reverse fold and for the ridges. So we're just about done. We just need to do that central part. So let me find the center of my paper right over here, and let me pull up a little bit closer on the crease pattern. And these are pretty easy. The one thing is to make sure you're lined up correctly. So just double check yourself when you're counting. We can find our center right here. And then I like to go out to the bottoms here just because then you can count down 2 grid units and just start our diamonds like that. So pretty easy to find reference just right here. 2 units down. Just know that it's going to be 1 diamond there, 1 diamond here, and then the same thing on the other side. So let's get that done really quickly. I'm going to do 1 diamond here, and then the other diamond on the other side. And once again, I'm kind of using the same technique of just folding the diamonds, like all the sides of all the like this side folds of that diamond, and I turn it and do the others like this. And then over here. And then over here. All right, so now we have 2 diamonds, and then we just mirror that on the other side. But before we mirror on the other side, I'm actually just going to do the bottom ones here. So same thing, it's just 1 unit down. Right, so it starts there. And then that's the second row of these. So this should be a pretty easy step to follow. Again, the only important thing is that you double check you're actually folding along the right grid units. But I think you will all be very familiar with this process now. And I've completed one side, now I can do the other. And you can see I'm just pinching creases into place. And it's okay to take your time on this. I'm just going a little bit faster because it's a tutorial. So y'all don't have to wait here for me. But yeah, don't try to keep up, you know, you pause the video, take your time to fold these. I'm just trying to make it evident where you're supposed to fold. You can crease these however you would like. You don't have to use this pinch technique that I'm using, because it's a little bit more advanced and might not be precise with it yet. But there you go. There's all our diamonds. Oops, sorry for bumping the microphone. All right, so that is the diamonds, and that is the end of pre-creasing. So not too bad, hopefully. Again, this should be the easiest part of this tutorial. So once again, if that's a little concerning for you, then just be careful with the rest of the tutorial, or don't have that correct expectation. But since we're done with the pre-creasing, the next step is going to be collapse, which is going to be in the next video. I think I'm going to have the pre-creasing just as this video. We'll have the collapse video, and then we'll have a separate shaping video. So it'll be a 3-part series. Maybe it'll change in the future, depending on how I kind of feel like things are going. But yeah, this is the pre-creasing. And now we're ready to start collapsing. So I will see you in that next video. I just want to say before we go, good job making it through so far. And if you're interested, make sure you're subscribed to this channel so you can see the next parts come out. As well as if you're interested in supporting the channel a little bit more, you can join our YouTube membership and you get some behind the scenes. You get access to some crease patterns early, all that sorts of stuff. But no worries if you can't. The other way to support is just by watching this video, dropping a comment and maybe a like. And I'll see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching.
All this origami, all this origami, all this origami got me going kamikaze now.